Good evening to Class 3, Class 4 and Class 5. To this evening's Stories from the Shed. Danny, the Champion of the World. Chapter 4. Good evening, Rebel. Okay. Good evening, Pesco, our Italian pheasant. Okay. And we've got Mr. Shoutout. Mr. Shoutout here is pointing towards this. This is the model that me and Charlie are building at the moment. You might have seen I put a video on. So far, we're about a third of the way through the build. I've set you all a challenge, a build it challenge. Can you build something from the story? And I'd like to give a bit of a shout out to Georgina in year 4, because she has done a fantastic Minecraft world of Danny's petrol station and caravan. She was even building the road on Minecraft. It's absolutely fantastic. So well done to her. Right, today we find out my father's deep, dark secret. Here I am at the age of 9. This picture was made just before all the excitement started, and I didn't have a worry in the world. You will learn as you get older, just as I learned that autumn, that no father is perfect. Grown-ups are complicated creatures, full of quirks and secrets. Some have quirkier quirks and deeper secrets than others, but all of them, including one's own parents, have 2 or 3 private habits hidden up their sleeves that would probably make you gasp if you knew about them. Funny things, these grown-ups, children. The rest of this book is about a most private and secret habit my father had, and about the strange adventures it led us both into. It all started on a Saturday evening. It was the first Saturday in September. Around 6 o'clock, my father and I had supper together in the caravan as usual. Then I went to bed. My father told me a fine story and kissed me good night. I fell asleep. For some reason, I woke up again during the night. I lay still, listening for the sound of my father's breathing in the bunk above mine. I could hear nothing. He wasn't there, I was certain of it. This meant that he had gone back to the workshop to finish a job. He often did that after he had tucked me in. I listened for the usual workshop sounds, the little clinking noises of metal against metal, or the tap of a hammer. They always comforted me tremendously, those noises in the night, because they told me that my father was close at hand. But on this night, no sound came from the workshop. The filling station was silent. I got out of my bunk and found a box of matches by the sink. I struck one and held it up to the funny old clock that hung on the wall above the kettle. It said 11:10. I went to the door of the caravan. "Dad," I said softly, "Dad, are you there?" No answer. There was a small wooden platform outside the caravan door, about 4 feet above the ground. I stood on the platform and gazed around me. "Dad," I called out, "where are you?" Still no answer. In pyjamas and bare feet, I went down the caravan steps and crossed over to the workshop. I switched on the light. The old car we had been working on through the day was still there, but not my father. I've already told you that he did not have a car of his own, so there was no question of his having gone for a drive. He wouldn't have done that anyway. I was sure he would never willingly have left me alone in the filling station at night. In which case, I thought, he must have fainted suddenly from some awful illness, or fallen down and banged his head. I would need a light if I was going to find him. I took the torch from the bench in the workshop. I looked in the office. I went around and searched behind the office and behind the workshop. I ran down the field to the lavatory. It was empty. "Dad!" I shouted into the darkness. "Dad, where are you?" I ran back to the caravan. I shone the light into his bunk to make sure, absolutely sure, he wasn't there. He wasn't in his bunk. I stood in the dark caravan for the first time in my life. I felt a touch of panic. The filling station was a long way from the nearest farmhouse. I took the blanket from my bunk and put it around my shoulders. Then I went to the caravan door and sat on the platform with my feet on the top step of the ladder. There was a new moon in the sky. There was a new moon in the sky, and across the road the big field lay pale and deserted in the moonlight. The silence was deathly. I don't know how long I sat there. It may have been an hour, it could have been 2, but I never dozed off. I wanted to keep listening all the time. If I listened very carefully, I might hear something that would tell me where I was. Then, at last, from far away, I heard the faint tap-tap of footsteps on the road. The footsteps were coming closer and closer. Tap, 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 tap. Was it him or was it somebody else? I sat still watching the road. I couldn't see very far along it. It faded away into a misty moonlit darkness. Tap, tap, tap came the footsteps. Then out of the mist, a figure appeared. It was him! I jumped down the steps and ran onto the road to meet him. "Danny," he cried, "what on earth's the matter?" I thought something awful had happened to you," I said. He took my hand in his and walked me back to the caravan in silence. Then he took me into my bunk. I'm so sorry," he said. "I should never have done it, but you don't usually wake up, do you?" "Where did you go, Dad? You must be tired out," he said. I'm not a bit tired. Couldn't we light the lamp for a little while?" My father put a match to the wick of the lamp hanging from the ceiling, and the little yellow flame sprang up and filled the inside of the caravan with a pale light. How about a hot drink?" he said. "Yes, please." He lit the paraffin burner and put the kettle onto the boil. I've decided something," he said. "I am going to let you in on the deepest, darkest secret of my whole life." I was sitting up in the bunk watching my father. "You asked me where I had been," he said. "The truth is, Danny, I was up in Hazel's Wood." "Hazel's Wood?" I cried. "That's miles away." 6 miles and a half, my father said. "I know I shouldn't have gone, and I'm very, very sorry about it, but I had such a powerful yearning." His voice trailed away into nothingness. "But why would you want to go all the way up to Hazel's Wood?" I asked. And tomorrow, children, if we're lucky, we'll find out why exactly is Danny's dad been into Hazel's Wood.